what do you make about this? What do you make of this run that the Cardinals are on? And they've I was talking about how they've made up so much ground on all the other teams in the Central. It's pretty amazing that they're so within reach right now.
Well, you knew Arenado was going to come around. He hasn't done this for 11 or 12 years without him doing it every year, and he did. They've gotten some good mileage out of Paul DeJong, as I reiterate. Tommy Edmonds played well in the outfield. I hope he's not too banged up from that collision with Nootbaar last night. They've had better pitching. Flaherty was good. Montgomery wasn't too bad. Wainwright was all right. And now Matz is kind of a key guy here. You can't have him be 0-4.
And Miklasz has been really good.
Miklasz too, yes.
Last 4 or 5 starts, whatever it is. Commissioner, you've been around covering Cardinals baseball longer than any of us in the media, needless to say. And what do you make of Nolan Gorman, who just turned age 23 on May the 10th, 9 days ago? Sorry. Have they finally developed a homegrown guy that is going to be potentially a true franchise cornerstone? Because there's been a lot of guys that come and gone. They've been on a kind of a search for that guy basically since Pujols. What do you think?
Well, I apologize for not mentioning his name right off the top. He's been their MVP probably, considering he hadn't played every game. He plays the field well, played third base well, played second base well. I'm convinced that with Walker being the bomb this spring, everybody was watching him. Nobody was watching how much Gorman had improved. Now we know.
Yeah. He's been fantastic. And I want to apologize to our listeners if I have a moment, because I never hesitate to admit I'm wrong. I mean, I don't think you do any good.
Wait a minute now.
You do any good for yourself by stubbornly trying to pretend you're not wrong. I didn't like the idea of Gorman facing left-handed pitchers, and I would make that very clear to our listeners. I was like, hey, he's going great. There's no need to mess with it. There'll be a time. Well, the time came, and I'm not saying he's going to crush lefties the rest of his career, but he looks pretty damn good so far. So I was wrong about that, and my listeners, our listeners, many of them were correct. So tip of the cap to you.
Well, you don't have to bat him third. You can bat him 6th or 7th. You bat him up in the order against right-handers for sure.
Right.
3rd or 5th. But he can bat 6, 7, whatever. Same with Nootbaar. He's going to play against left-handers too. We didn't know he could do it.
The other thing too, and I know you're the original Paul DeJong defender, so I have to give.
I'm the only Paul DeJong defender.
So I have to give you the tip of the cap. But he's been doing great, and even though the last 10 days or so has been striking out more, I still am astonished. And it was happening last night because I had tweeted a link to my column on DeJong where I said, hey, here's an appreciation of Paul DeJong. And people were still going nuts. Oh, he isn't any good. And, all this other nonsense. And I don't understand why a certain amount of fans can't enjoy what he's doing for the team that they purport to love so much. And you reminded me of this because you pointed out, hey, Gorman can bat down in the lineup against left-handed pitchers. The Cardinals have an outstanding, number 6, number 7 hitter in the form of Paul DeJong. I'm not sure what the protests are here. It's frankly insane. So it's still, I don't know why these people are so bitter towards him. He didn't draw up his own contract. That was done by management. So why are you taking it out on the player? And he's good for your team. It really, as you can tell, Commission, it really ticks me off.
I can tell. Well, the only misplay he made was in the field last night. Booted one, came back, made a jumping catch to end the inning. All even.
That's right. And, he's going to make errors, but he's – the thing I was trying to say, and listen, there's all kinds of ways to evaluate defense, including the eye test. But since 2019, the folks at Fielding Bible, in terms of defensive runs saved, he's like the 3rd best shortstop in the baseball since 2019 in defensive runs saved. So, again, I repeat, what's the problem? Now, look, do we think he's going to last hitting for all this power the rest of the season? I don't know. I like his chances better because he's hitting the ball much harder than he ever has. But I just don't get it. When you look at the numbers, you're just like, well, be thankful that he's had a revival, because he's one of the people that helped the Cardinals, get out of that horrible start. You know, he has started in this 9-2 run. He has started 10 of the 11 games, and his slugging numbers in particular are very, very good. I do not understand what the problem is or what the protest is.
No,
this is a new one for me, man. Seriously, the guy's doing great. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
He's not being platooned. He's playing every day.
You know, it's just, what is the problem? And people keep saying, well, you know that he's not going to last. Okay. First of all, I don't know that. But even if he doesn't, quote, last, what does that have to do with appreciation of what he has been able to do when the team really needed a lift? He has really helped the team. So I don't get why you're worrying about what his average will be in August or something.
I do believe he has more home runs than Paul Goldschmidt, too, who I think is having a pretty good year.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been terrific. And he's also one of the best hitting shortstops in baseball right now. That's a fact. I looked that up yesterday. Anyway, I didn't mean to go on a rant. But you are there was a time where you were, other than his mom, you were the Paul DeYoung defender in St. Louis. You should get some kind of award for that.
Well, I think so. But at the end of the year now, if he continues this, we're going to have to see how much they really like him, because Mason Wynn is on the way. And but if Paul DeYoung hits, 20 home runs, hits 275, what's not to like there?
Oh, there's no doubt about it, Commish. The other guy we got to talk about again is, because Nolan Gorman, I'm really geeked up about him, but he's leading the majors in slugging now. Looking at Wilson Contreras, it's been an eventful couple of weeks, but that was quite a performance last night, and I was really happy for the guy. He's handled this controversy about as well as it can be done, and I think he earned a lot of respect and affection from Cardinals fans.
Well, how many guys come out for a curtain call, just kind of wave their head and pop back in the dugout? He says, "Hey, bring it on, let's go."
I know, right? It's really good stuff. What do you make of the rotation? Well, we covered that a little bit. What do you make of Wainwright so far?
So, but I like the 6-man rotation through. They're in a stretch of 19 games in a row with 3 more with the Dodgers, 4 with Cincinnati, 3 with Cleveland, and 2 with Kansas City here. Then there's 2 days off before they go to Pittsburgh. That's where you decide, okay, are we continuing this or not? But I'd go with 6 for a while. Waino was, once you get out of the first inning last night, that could have been a 4 or 5 run inning, and it wasn't. So he held it at bay, didn't allow any more runs on his own, and I thought he was okay. Now, Matz is a guy I have a lot of faith in, but I have to win some games here.
Yeah, and I thought what Waino did, he had second and third in the first inning. He's already down 2-0. Second and third, 1 out. A couple good hitters coming up, and he got a ground ball and a fly out, and he limited the damage there. And then he shut him down for the next 4 innings. He only gave up a hit and had 1 walk, and it wasn't his fault what happened in the 5th, or the 6th, I should say. So I thought that was actually a really good start if you put it into the context of how he got out of a potentially awful inning in the first and then breezed through the next 4 innings, 4+ innings until Goldie unfortunately made that error.
That's not going to happen again.
No, probably not. Probably not. Hey, what did you think about Oscar Machado coming up? He had a good game last night.
He's going to be around a while. I don't know where Tyler O'Neill fits in here anymore, even when he comes back. Machado stole 2 bags, made some good plays in the field, can play all 3 outfield positions. He was a hot-ticket prospect at one point, played regularly for Cleveland for 1 year, had a good year, so I wouldn't give up on him yet.
Commish, one more question before you're going to venture outside of baseball. Now, you have the advantage of some games already being played, but who did you like going into the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference Finals in the NBA?
Well, going in, I liked Milwaukee because they had Giannis. They're out. Next, I liked Boston because they have Jason Tatum. Well, every once in a while they play like they want to be out. Miami, is the only team that plays. I mean, there's no question who the best coach in the league is, Spoelstra. Or maybe the best player in the league in Butler. They win it. I mean, they can win it. Why not?
I think so.
They have a good bench. They're playing without some guys they should have ordinarily. And the Western side, Coach Malone is a little prickly. He thinks that every story should be about his team. Well, the Lakers are the people's choice. You got to get used to it, buddy. You know, you may beat them, but people are going to write about them first. And as far as the other side there, I don't know. It could be Miami and Denver, and I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I think it'd be a hell of a series, really. Kamish, I hope you have a great weekend, and I look forward to talking to you again soon, okay? Thanks, you.
Man. You bet.
Hang in there. See you later. That's our friend Rick Hummel on 590 The Fan KFNS, the Hall of Famer. Yeah, you could tell he's coping with an illness, and he doesn't even have to come on. That would be fine, but I appreciate that he's up for it, and so he's just a wonderful, wonderful guy. And he was like probably the last man standing in terms of defending Paul DeJong. Paul DeJong, by the way, among major league shortstops that have at least 75 plate appearances, and there's 32 of them. So there's 32 shortstops that have at least 75 plate appearances. He ranks tied for fifth in homers. He's third in OPS, ninth in batting average, ninth in on-base percentage. And so I'm still trying to figure out what the problem is. I mean, I've been writing baseball in St. Louis since 1989, and this is, I can say unequivocally, this is the craziest disconnect I've ever seen between a player's outstanding performance and the way he's helped the team, which is met with all kinds of disdain and nastiness by at least a small percentage of the fan. And, you know, I was on Twitter last night and talking about this. And even people that I thought were really, really reasonable, I just couldn't understand where they're coming from. Well, you know, let's wait and look up, at the end of the season, see what his numbers are. I think, that's completely irrelevant. Because no one's saying he's like the shortstop for life. No one's saying he's even the shortstop for the rest of the season. The team was 10-24. You had a lot of hitters not getting a damn thing done. And he came along at a time where they really needed a lift, and I'm not claiming that he's the only one who gave him a lift. But let's be honest here. Nothing was expected of him by most fans. Maybe a little was expected of him, because he would at least play defense and give Tommy Edman some time off. But even when you would suggest he's a good defensive player, even last night I was dealing with this. Oh, he ain't any good. He's not a good shortstop. No, and the gentleman, he may even be listening to us. He's a fine fellow. Don't get me wrong, man. But I just don't get it. You would think when your team is 10-24 that anybody who comes along and does a great job would be someone that you greatly appreciate, especially a guy, again, that you had no expectations. You just assumed he would be awful. He's been really, really good. He's a top 10 shortstop offensively since he came up, and he's 11th or 12th in defensive runs saved at shortstop since he came up. And yet people they won't even acknowledge it. They actually tell you that he sucks.
I look at, I know, I'm there with you.
It's absolutely crazy. Are you a Cardinals fan or not?
Yes.
Your team was 10-24, and Tommy Edman really wasn't playing all that great defensively, but that's not even it. You had some depth issues because people getting hurt, and the big rookie having to go down to work on his swing and all kinds of other things, which means you can put Edman in the outfield. You know, you can play him at second if Gorman's DH, and you can do a lot of different things. Paul DeJong has helped the team. So if you claim to love the team, what's up with that? That's actually insane. Oh, I'm one of the biggest Cardinals fans there are, but I hate Paul DeJong. And that's insanity. Because if you're a Cardinals fan, if you're truly a Cardinals fan, you would appreciate what he's done. And you wouldn't be talking about, well, you wait and see till September what his average is. No, I don't have to wait. He's already done more than I thought he would do. And whether it lasts or not, it is basically irrelevant because we're not talking about him being at shortstop the rest of the year. If he's not getting it done, they obviously got other ways to go. But let's appreciate what he has done. I don't understand how the brain wires get clipped on this. How, like a total disconnect. It's just bizarre to me. The strangest thing I've ever seen in terms of a player and the fan base.
I'm glad he's healthy. I'm glad he's contributing because tonight, Tommy Edman can't play shortstop.
Right.
It's another thing. You got a quality guy who can play short. He's made some nice plays. I think that part of the issue is when people look at him, he's not this super outlandish, flashy guy, right?
He's not an acrobat.
He just makes plays, and I think we, not everybody, but a lot of Cardinal fans don't appreciate that part of his game. It's better than you think. He's steadier than you think. His hitting problems were just awful, and he worked himself out of competition here because of that. But I tell you, I don't know. I got to give him all the credit in the world. In fact, I would tell the Cardinals, whoever was helping him in the offseason, you might want to contact that guy. Those people, see what they're preaching a little bit, because they have fixed a little something. And if it only lasts 4 weeks, that's fine. But I tell you what, it's a pretty good 4 weeks, and you'll take that production at any time.
You know what the hopelessly unhinged among us were saying last night? It's like, well, I noticed you don't talk about like his stats over the last week or so. Okay, we can talk about that, but are you under? Well, first of all, and this gentleman was actually a fine gentleman, but I'm going to mention what he said. He said, the last 7 games, his batting average has been low. On base percentage has been on the low side. But even at his, quote, downtime, at his lowest, where he's really struggling, Bernie, he's got a 480. He had a 481 slugging percentage. What the hell is wrong with a 481 slugging percentage? You don't like the home runs? Wait, you're a fisherman. You're going to throw them out? It's not good enough for you. You can't put it in the cooler. You got to throw it back. This is just flat out nuts. Flat out nuts, man. If you use weighted runs created plus, which is what front offices use it, fans don't like it. It's a little too fancy, and I joke about that. But if you look at it that way, since he's come up with the Cardinals, because that's a bottom line, just like OPS plus. That's a bottom line marker about how good a guy's doing offensively. So the point is, and again, I don't understand why this is lost on people. Even the best players will go into these nosedives. I think a guy named Arenado went into one for about 6 weeks. So if you hate a player as much as some of these wackos do, they're now cherry picking like 5 or 6 games or something. I will be happy to note when a player is slumping because unbelievably they all do. Imagine that. But what I won't do is pick out like 5 games where he's bad or whatever and use that as evidence of something when his entire body of work is sitting right there. And offensively, he is a top 10 shortstop across the board. And if you use the fancy pants stat, which I do, here are the only shortstops, a minimum 75 plate appearance, who, in terms of park and league adjusted runs created, are ahead of Paul DeJong, who, by the way, is 47% above league average. But I got people coming at me on Twitter saying, well, last week, say it's starting, he's falling apart. And that was before he hit the big home run last night, his 6th of the year. But they're using it. It's like these people get aroused anytime he fails. They get aroused. I mean, it's just like it's joy to them. And it's like when he does really well, they're frustrated because they might have to admit they're wrong and they won't do it. which makes him look even weaker and more insecure and kind of sad. I always thought it's best to admit you're wrong about something instead of pretending you're not, because people laugh at you because they know you're wrong. Anyway, he's got, like Bo Bichette's one of the guys ahead of him. Bo Bichette, who's a great player, for example, this year, he's got a parking league adjusted runs created 150. He's been 3% better than Paul DeJong offensively this year. And, DeJong's got him beat on slugging percentage and OPS and isolated power. And, again, I just don't understand what the problem is.
Bernie, they thrive on negativity, the texter says, because they can't see the glass as half full.
It's unreal. If I just showed you a leaderboard of Major League shortstops offensively and defensive runs saved, but I removed all names. It's just the numbers, right? Mm-hmm. And you'd say, well, look at this guy. Look at his, that guy's really good, man. Look at his slugging percentage. His on-base percentage is good. OPS over 900. He strikes out a lot, but maybe more than you want, but it's only 26%. There's all kinds of guys around him on that leaderboard that are in that area. It's nothing outrageous. People, if you give them the blind test, you don't put the name in there, they would say, well, hell yeah, I like that guy as a shortstop. He's a plus defender. And among other shortstops this year, he's in the top 4, and he's just under 50% above average offensively. They'd say, well, hell yeah, why wouldn't I take that shortstop? Hell yeah, I'd like to have that guy playing shortstop. Absolutely.
Texter says, Bernie, we should have learned from the great commish. Never count a guy out.
Well, I thought there was a glimmer of hope when he did all that work in the offseason, because it seemed like he finally sort of focused on what he really needed to do, and he really got after it. And it's made a big difference. And see, one of the problems you have when you talk about Paul DeJong and why he has been so terrific as a Cardinal and why he's got a much better chance of this lasting for a while. I mean, maybe the rest of the season, maybe he runs out of gas. I don't know. But these are the people that when you talk about hard hit rate, there's like, I don't want to hear that BS. Where's his batting average? That kind of stuff. Hard hit rate, there ain't nothing fancy or convoluted or like foo-foo stuff about it. Every study there is, every study that all these front offices do, the harder you hit the ball, the better you're going to be. Now, the hard heads out there say, oh, that's great, but, he's hitting the ball hard, but he's 1 for 20. When you hit the ball really hard, does that mean you're going to bat 1,000 or 500? No. But if you consistently hit the ball hard, the numbers will fall into place. This guy, the previous 2 years combined, had a hard hit rate of about 35, 37%, like that. His hard hit rate right now is 53%. But you can't convince these lunatics that that's a significant change in his performance, because they are convinced. In fact, some of these loons have already actually said he's a failure. Based on what? I have no idea. That's why this is where you play the Looney Tunes music. But it's like, well, why do you don't think he'll fade, Bernie? Well, because he's hitting the ball tremendously harder than he has in the past couple seasons. And that absolutely makes a difference. So that's why I think don't be so quick to dismiss him as someone who has some staying power. And don't worry, Mason Wynn will be here next season, and that'll give you someone else to pick on maybe. Who knows? It's just strange.
It's just strange. Text says, Bernie, DeJong and Gorman play up the middle every day till they prove they can't hit left or right pitching. Play them.
Yeah. And that's the other thing about DeJong. See, now you brought
that's what the texter said. Yep.
That's good though. Let me give you an example. Okay, Paul DeJong. He's one of these guys. This is when he was good, or even when he was really, really bad. where even though he bats right-handed, he's always been better against right-handed pitching. And let me just give this to you. So there's, if you have hesitation about him, you'd say like, well, I don't know why they don't play him against left-handers or whatever, or why does he bat against so many right-handers? Because he's better against right-handed pitching than left-handed pitching. That's why. But what do I know? Because I'm the nut that actually researches this stuff instead of like popping a beer. He sucks.
There's nothing wrong with popping a beer.
Yeah, no, that's right. So, for example, this season against right-handed pitching, Paul DeJong's got a 320 batting average, 382 on base, a 680 slug, and an OPS over 1,000. And he's 87% above the league average offensively against right-handed pitchers. But I get tweets, I get emails. It's just like, well, why do they play him so much against right-handed pitchers, Bernie? He's a right-handed batter. Like I said, 87% above league average offensively against right-handed pitchers this year. And they don't even bat him, third, fourth, or fifth or whatever. They got him batting low in the lineup. Do you realize what a bonus it is to have a guy putting up these kind of numbers and you're batting him seventh, you're batting him eighth? I can't say I'm speechless because I could talk about this for hours because it's just so crazy. But you'd think there'd be some appreciation, but again, some people are the smartest guys in the room, except they're the dumbest guys in the room because he can't even recognize the value of his performance since he's come up. If he strikes out tonight twice against Gonsolin or whatever, I can't believe he's still here.
I know it.
Are people on drugs when they watch these games? Are they boozed up? I mean, what?
Well, that could be, yes.
Yeah, okay. I'm just having some fun.
I know.
Love to you all. Pretty much. I want to thank the people that we were tweeting with last night who didn't agree with me, but they were civil. One guy, though, when I tweeted the link to it, and he probably didn't even read it, but his first thing is like, no, you're wrong. He's no good. Oh, okay.
Nice.
What? And you back that up with, oh, that's right, nothing. Okay. Hey, we're going to be, let me see real quick here. We're going to be at Friendly's on Wednesday. Don't forget fried chicken. Friendly Sports Bar and Grill, South County at Bayless and 55. Every other Sunday, fried chicken dinners, and it opens at 11 a.m., and the first one they had was May the 7th, that Sunday, and they sold out of chicken. I mean, people just came in and loved it, and word got around, and all the chicken was gone. So I'm sure they brought in more chicken to have the better supply this week. But on this Sunday, starting at 11, Friendly Sports Bar and Grill, fried chicken, part 2. The second fried chicken dinner. So why don't you go check it out? But again, I was just telling you what time they open in case you want to make sure you get there before, if in fact it's going to run out again. But everything else, we were. Mrs. Burney said to me today, reference to Friendly Sports Bar and Grill, South County. She said, "Have you checked in with Denny? Is he feeling okay? Is he in a state of shock?" And at first I didn't understand her reference, but she's smarter than I am. She said 16 runs, and they had how many home runs today? I said 7. Oh, man. I hope he's feeling okay. Because every time the Cardinals score 6 or more runs, you get the beverage of your choice on the house at Friendly Sports Bar and Grill, South County. When they hit a home run, and boy, did they hit home runs last night, 7 of them. Every time a Cardinal hits a home run, if you're at Friendly's, you will be offered a specialty called a Cardinal shot. It's got a little cherry vodka and a little splash of soda. Now, I think that's great. But I think 7 home runs might be too many for something like this. You know what I'm saying?
You might have to start putting a limit on it.
Well, just have a designated driver or something.
Yeah,
call, as the kids would say, call an Uber.
Yes.
So be careful. It's great that they hit all these home runs, but even Denny would say, all right, be careful now.